Hey, welcome! Today we're diving deep into some of the all-time classic books on achievement to piece together a real, usable blueprint for success. So let's just get right into it with a big question, right? Why do some people absolutely crush it in life, while others, who seem just as smart or talented, just don't? We always hear the usual answers, hard work, talent, or they just got lucky. But if you really dig into the sources we've been looking at, you realize that's not the full story. Not even close. It turns out there's this kind of hidden blueprint, an operating system for success that the greats all seem to run on, whether they know it or not. And today, we're going to map that out for you, pulling the core principles that show up time and time again in these legendary works. So, here's the game plan. We're going to unlock this blueprint together in 4 key parts. First, we'll look at the blueprint that exists in your own mind. Then, we'll talk about how to fuel it with a burning desire. We'll also cover how to fail your way forward. Yep, you heard that right. And finally, the secret weapon, finding your mastermind. All right, first step, the blueprint in your mind. This is all about mastering your internal world. And honestly, this is the whole foundation. The idea here is that success is an inside job, period. Before you can build anything out there, you have to get the architecture right in here. And check this out. Robert Kiyosaki really breaks it down for us. He argues that success is like 90% emotional intelligence, and only 10% is the technical stuff, the how-to information. So what's emotional intelligence? It's all about how you handle what's going on in your own head. Fear, desire, disappointment. The technical skills matter, for sure, but they're just a tiny piece of the puzzle. And Napoleon Hill basically doubles down on this idea with this quote: "Both poverty and riches are the offspring of thought." I mean, wow. He's not mincing words, right? He's saying your bank account is a direct reflection of what's going on between your ears. You literally think your way into a rich life or a poor one. Okay, so that brings us to our next big idea. Fuel your burning desire. This is the true starting point of any big achievement. Once you get that your thoughts create your reality, the next step is to supercharge those thoughts with some serious emotion. And we're not talking about just, oh, I'd kind of like to be successful. Nope. The classics are all in agreement. It has to be a white-hot, burning desire for something super specific. A perfect example of this is the story of Edwin C. Barnes. This guy had one all-consuming goal: to become a business partner of the one and only Thomas Edison. The thing is, he was broke. He didn't know Edison, but that didn't stop him. His desire was so powerful, so definite, that he hopped a freight train just to get in front of the man. And Edison himself said he gave Barnes a shot because he could just see it in him. This was a guy who was betting his entire life on making this happen. Barnes literally thought his way into that partnership. It's an incredible story. So you might be asking, okay, that's great, but how do I get a desire that intense? Well, luckily, Napoleon Hill gave us this super practical 6-step formula. It's not just about wishing for things. Look at these steps. It's about being precise. What's the exact amount of money? What exactly will you give in return? What's the definite date? You see the theme here, right? It's all about definiteness, turning a fuzzy wish into a concrete plan. All right, so you've got the mindset, you've got the desire, but let's be real. The road to success is never a smooth, straight line. And that brings us to our third principle, which is all about that emotional mastery we talked about earlier. It's about learning to fail your way forward, turning every defeat into a stepping stone. There's this classic story from Think and Grow Rich that just perfectly illustrates this. It's about a guy who struck gold. Literally, he found a vein of shining ore. But then, it just disappeared. The vein ran dry. So they drilled and drilled, got frustrated, and finally just gave up. They sold all their machinery to some junk man for a few $100. Well, that junk man was smart. He hired an expert who looked at the maps and realized the gold was just 3 feet from where the original guys had stopped drilling. 3 feet. The junk man ended up a millionaire, all because the first guys quit right before they hit the jackpot. And that's the key takeaway right here. All these classic texts draw this really important line in the sand. There's temporary defeat, and then there's permanent failure. They are not the same thing. Defeat is just feedback. It's a signal, a lesson telling you your plan needs work. But permanent failure, that's a choice. That's what happens when you decide to quit. It's totally self-imposed. And handling that disappointment, that's the skill that separates the winners from everyone else. So all of this leads us to our final, and maybe one of the most important principles: find your mastermind. The bottom line is you cannot succeed alone. The journey's too tough, the problems are too big. You've got to tap into the brain power and energy of other people. Napoleon Hill actually coined a term for this, the mastermind. And just to be clear, this isn't just about going to networking events. As you can see from the definition, it's about a coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony for a definite purpose. It's a focused alliance. He basically says you can't achieve anything truly great without one.
So what's in it for you? What do you actually get from building an alliance like this? Well, you get killer advice and counsel. You find mentors who can guide you when you're stuck. It's how you build up that persistence to keep going after a defeat. And it's how you get your hands on the specialized knowledge you need to build really solid, practical plans. It's like having your own personal board of directors.
And that's it. That's the blueprint, the 4 pillars of success that you see again and again in these classics. It starts in your mind, gets powered by desire, learns from every stumble, and gets amplified like crazy by your alliances. See how they all fit together? Each one makes the other stronger. Okay, so what can you do, like, today, right now? Let's make this super simple. First, define your thoughts. Decide exactly what you want to build. Second, make that desire real. Use that 6-step formula we talked about and write it down. Third, make a deal with yourself. The next time you face a setback, you're going to treat it as a lesson, not a stop sign. And fourth, just start small. Identify one single person you respect who could be the very first member of your mastermind. You know, when you boil it all down, it comes back to this one simple but incredibly powerful idea. You can't control the stock market. You can't control the weather. You can't control what other people do. But you have absolute 100% control over one thing, your thoughts. So the real question is, what are you going to build with them?